Welcome into Better and Green, and today we're going to be giving you guys some keep trade cuts for your fantasy football teams. But first, we've got big news. The fantasy guide is officially out. Let's go, baby. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
God, where am I?
It's gonna suck to pick up here in about 20 minutes.
Yeah. And for the cheap price of $19, you guys get the draft guide for completely free by just betting on the Bears not to make the playoffs.
Simple as that.
This first week, okay, guys, until next Friday, it's going to be 50% off. You can get the draft guide right now for $10. It's over 150 hours of research put into it, over 100 pages, everything you're going to need to dominate your leagues this year and win your fantasy championship. Wyatt, I want to hear what you got to say about it.
Yeah, it's almost overwhelming how much great resources are in the guide. We have a bunch of different player profiles of every single position, including kickers and defenses, if you want to get into those. We have sleepers, we have busts, we have breakout potential players. There's just so much information in there. We have a couple mock drafts, and I know it's really early, but the more information you can get in before your fantasy draft, the better. And this is just a one-stop stop. Everything you need to know is in this. You can read through it pretty quickly, and then go on and research other things. So it's a great resource, and we put a lot of time and effort into it, and really excited for its use this year, and hopefully it'll win your fantasy leagues. I know I'm using it. I can already tell I'm more knowledgeable this year than I've been in any single year of fantasy football that I've ever been in. So I'm excited for this year. Hopefully it pays out, and yeah, make sure you guys take advantage of our draft guide.
Ethan?
Yeah, I'm really excited to use it myself because I know I've told you guys, at least off air, I've probably said it on air too, but I suck at drafting my fantasy team. I'm really good at building throughout the year, but yeah, just completely terrible at drafting. So personally, really looking forward to using this guide for myself. It's going to already give me a leg up from where I am always am, at the beginning of my leagues. But yeah, just tons of great work, tons of hours have gone into this guide. 100 pages, PDF, super accessible. You can look at it on the go. It's not just this big booklet that we're sending to you. So just really easy. You can download it on your phone, scroll through it when you have free time. And yeah, just a really great source for fantasy football, and a good leg up if you want to win your fantasy league.
Yeah. PDF file, so that means that you can take it anywhere you go. You can have it on your laptop, on your phone, anywhere you go. When you buy it, you have it on every type of electronic device you have. It's not like it only goes to your phone. You have it anywhere that you have an electronic device. But let's talk about also that we're giving away free fantasy boards, free draft boards with the stickers. We're giving 3 of those away to subscribers who comment and like our posts, like our shows. And Ethan, do you want to start?
Okay, so I am going to start with a couple of quarterbacks here. Tried to find some whether it be average draft position or just, trying to find a variable to group these guys together. So, yeah, quarterbacks, I'm looking at Justin Herbert, Justin Fields, and Tua Tagovailoa. Yeah, my question to you guys, start, bench, cut. Herbert, Fields, Tua.
Well, okay, I can go first. Week 1, I'm starting Tua, sitting Herbert, cutting Fields. Now, if it's week 10, Tua might be MIA. But as of week 1, that's
Miami.
That's true. He might be MIA in Miami. But yes, I think Tua has the most upside, so I'm going to start him while he's healthy. I think Herbert has so much offensive potential with his wide receivers, so I'm going to keep him on my bench for when Tua decides to go fingers on us. And then I'll cut Fields. I think Fields is going to be on the waivers for maybe a decent amount of season after a bad couple weeks, but again, one running game and everyone's going to be back in on Justin Fields. But I'm going to cut him to start, and that's going to be my decision.
I'm going to start Herbert. I'm going to bench Tua, and I'm going to cut Fields. I think Tua's got that upside. If he's healthy, I can play him. Herbert, he's a safe bet. He's got great options. Fields, I don't trust him.
I like it.
I think I'm going to go with the third option here. I'm going to, well, I guess there's multiple options, but I'm going to start Tua. I think I'm going to bench Fields and cut Herbert simply because I think there are more, there's going to be more quarterbacks out there that are similar to Herbert, where you could put up a 35 one week and then 17 the next. Where I think, I mean, Fields scares me. I don't think he's a good passer at all. We've talked about this a ton, but you know, sometimes it is nice to have that running quarterback, especially on your bench if you need someone in a whim. So for that reason, I just think there's more quarterbacks like Herbert out there that I could snag on the wire if need be. So for that reason, I will start Tua. I think he has the best upside of the three. Keep Fields just because he's a running quarterback on my bench, and cut Herbert reluctantly.
I have one question before we move on. Are the Chargers going to be your new Tennessee Titans? Just fading the, or actually, what's you did? You bet Bengals. Are they your new Bengals? Just
Dude,
fading
I don't know
them?
Because
you said it last time that you're thinking the Chargers are going to suck.
I think I picked them to go like 5-12.
Yeah.
See, here's the issue. I love Austin Eckler, and I love betting the Chargers, so probably not.
Okay.
I don't know. I think they're gonna. I don't know. To be determined, week by week basis.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
I think my fade team this year is going to be Philly. But
okay. Well, and of course Tennessee, but
Tennessee and Arizona
value.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm not comfortable laying 24 points against Arizona every week.
It's true. All right, I'm moving on to a couple tight ends. So tight ends are an interesting spot. I believe there's one obvious number one, Travis Kelce. So I'm going to keep him out of it. Then I think there's three dudes that are in the next tier 2, I'll call it. Then tier 3 or tier 10, whatever you want to call it, after these next three guys, it really drops off a cliff. So these three guys I'm talking about are Mark Andrews, George Kittle, and Hawkinson. So out of those guys, because I think after those three, you could just pick off waivers. It doesn't matter after those three. So out of those three, who are you going to bench, start, and what's the other one?
Cut.
I'm
going to start Andrews. I think there's going to be a bounce back for Lamar this year. I'm benching Hawkinson because I think he's got quite a bit of potential with Jefferson pulling some of that attention away from him. And then I'm going to cut Kittle. I don't trust him to stay healthy. And everybody says, oh, he's a better blocker than Kelce. I don't know how many points your league gives for blocking. Mine gives none. So if I have to worry about his staying healthy, I'm out on Kittle.
Yeah, I'm the exact same with you there. I'm starting Andrews. I think he's same thing. Lamar's going to have a bounce back year. He is the security blanket for Lamar. And yeah, obviously if Kelce wasn't so damn good, Andrews would be talked about a lot more. But he just gets overshadowed. Love Hawkinson this year. Without Adam Thielen, I think he becomes the safety blanket for Kirk Cousins. He had moments of domination when he played for Detroit. So, yeah, I think Hawkinson could be really productive. I think he could be, other than Kelce, maybe your most consistent tight end this season. And then that's kind of the reason I'm out on George Kittle. I just don't think he can be that consistent. You're going to have weeks where he goes off 3 touchdowns, but you're also going to have weeks where he barely gets the ball. Just too many mouths to feed in that offense. And yeah, Kittle's just a goofy character and just like a well-known name, but as far as fantasy goes, I don't know. I'm not that high on him.
I'm going to go a little off track. I definitely think Andrews is unanimous number 2. So I'm going to start Mark, even with Baltimore might having one of the worst offenses in the league. Mark at number 2. I'm actually going to go Kittle. I'll put him on my bench. Reasoning for this, again, inexperienced quarterbacks, who they look to the most, it's their tight end. Kittle is a big, reliable guy. Hawk definitely has a lot of potential upside. He's a great, fantastic receiver or receiving tight end. But I just think there's just too many playmakers on the Vikings. I know they lost Thielen. I know they lost Cook. But they just got, Jordan Addison's coming in for a little quick guy as well. So obviously Hawk is going to get utilized, but I just gonna go with Kittle as my sub, just because of that inexperienced quarterback. The easiest target to hit is your tight end, and I know he's getting older and he's not as good of a receiver as Andrews or Hawkinson, but I still think that he's going to have quite a bit of red zone touches. So I'm going to go Kittle, just to be a little off kilter there, and then unfortunately Hawk will be cut on my squad.
Alrighty. I want to know, with these running backs in new places or starting for the first time, Alexander Mattison, Miles Sanders, DeAndre Swift.
Okay, let's see here. Remind me where Madison is. Oh,
Vikings.
He's in Minnesota. Yeah. Madison, Swift, or Sanders. Okay, I'm going to start Madison. I actually like Madison quite a bit. When he's played, he's done really well. And he had a lot of time to play because Dalvin Cook can't stay healthy. So I like Madison there. I will bench Miles Sanders. Just think he's more reliable. Yeah, probably gonna get more touches in that offense, I would maybe think, than Swift. I don't know. It's tough to say. Nope, flip that. I'm gonna bench Swift, cut Sanders, and hope Swift stays healthy.
Yeah, this is tough. This is definitely a tough one. I know I've been high on Swift, but there's just so many offensive options in Philly that it just makes him tough. I'm actually gonna go weird here. I'm gonna go Miles Sanders to start. He is at Carolina. I know they have quite a bit of other running backs that they utilize. I think they still have Hubbard? Is he over there? And they have Foreman as well. Is he still
Foreman's
there?
Chicago.
He's Chicago now, so it's just Hubbard.
Yep.
Okay. Doesn't matter. Even if they had another running back, both Hubbard and Foreman had great years last year, sharing time, so they get a lot of touches, and they don't really get utilized a whole lot out of the backfield on passes. So I think Miles Sanders is going to obviously get a lot of touches. I think he's going to have a lot of rushing yards, and then I do think they're going to utilize him more out of the backfield for. Again, rookie quarterback, easy target is your tight end or your check down running back. So I think he's going to get a lot of touches for that reason. And again, I don't know what it is about Carolina. They seem to be able to run the ball on everyone. Maybe I'm just scarred from last year when Detroit was in a must-win situation and they gave up 400 rushing yards. But yeah, I'm going to start Sanders. I will. God, this is tough. I know it's high on Swift, but I think Madison I got to put on my bench. I don't know. The Vikings really aren't that bad. I know everyone's hating on the Vikings. We know they're frauds. Their defense is horrendous, but offensively they're pretty good. And we all know Dalvin Cook had quite a bit of success. I think Madison's even more of a passing threat than Cook was, so it's kind of a dual dynamic there. So I'll put him on the bench, and I'll unfortunately have to cut Swift. I just think there's too many options in Philly. Just think of the red zone. They have 4 running backs, all that love goal line touches. They have Hurts, who runs the ball, or anything within 3 yards. Hurts is just doing that quarterback sneak. They have Devontae Adams, who's open on every single slant route you can imagine. And then they have A.J. Brown for the goal line fade. So there's just too many options there for Philly for people to score touchdowns. I think either Swift can go off or he could really get drowned out by other players on that team. So unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I'll have to cut Swift because I know I was high on him. I'm still high on him, but it's just a tough decision.
Yeah. This one's tough. I'm gonna start Sanders as well. I think that you got a rookie quarterback.
Really? I
know. You thought I was gonna say Swift, didn't you?
Absolutely.
yeah. And you absolutely have every reason to think that. I just think that they have a pretty good offensive line. They got that rookie. They ran it a lot last year before they had a rookie quarterback. I don't think that they have a bunch of great receiving options either. So they're going to be pounding the ball. There's going to be enough work for, even if Hubbard has quite a bit of carries, Sanders is going to have more than enough to be fantasy relevant. I'm going to put Swift on my bench. I think he's got the highest upside of all three. If they kind of hand over the backfield to him behind that offensive line, I think he could absolutely light this league on fire like we haven't seen in a long time. And then I'm going to have to cut Madison. I think he'll have a fine season. We've just never seen him get to really have that starting role. We've seen what he is behind Cook. We've seen guys who, I believe, I'm thinking kind of like Lamar Miller, but we've seen guys that we think when they get more touches, they're going to be better. And then that's just simply not the case. So I have just, maybe if we're talking the same question next year, I'll be fine with Madison, but I feel like there's still too much of the unknown.
I will say one of those running backs, their team got rid of a running back to promote him to the starting role. The other two just got booted from their own team. So we'll see.
That's true. You're right.
That's a tough one though, Ben. That was a
good one.
Yeah. I don't know. I might go back and keep Sanders and cut Swift. I don't know. That's tough.
I hope I got tough ones for you guys.
I'm going to stick with running backs. I'm going to stick with kind of a like guy in there. I'm looking at 3 free agents currently that at least 2 of them I think will find a home before the season. 1 may not. So I think the cut is going to be pretty easy for all 3 of us, but we'll see. I'm going to go Zeke, Dalvin, and Leonard Fournette.
Wow. I'm going to have to cut Zeke. I think I'm going to cut Ezekiel Elliott. He's never been a pass catcher. He's getting old, and he's always been kind of a bruiser. He's not the guy that's going to beat you with the speed. He's a guy that's kind of going to run you over. So that's just unsustainable. I just don't like his it just doesn't seem like he has a whole lot of options. So I'm going to cut Zeke. Who else? We have Fournette and who's the first one?
Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook. Shoot. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to start. I'm gonna start Dalvin. I know he's kind of injury prone. I think he's the most athletic running back. I think he's the fastest running back. I think he's the most agile running back. He's just the best guy. Obviously, you got to figure out he has to be on the right team. So that's obviously going to be a big question mark. But I think he's the best out of all of them. And then I'll put Fournette on my bench. He could have 10-plus touchdowns this season if they want to utilize him on the goal line. Or he could have 200 rushing yards, 0 touchdowns. So, but I do think he's going to have more production regardless of what happens in the end zone than Ezekiel Elliott. So, yeah, definitely a tough question. But I think athletic-wise, I think Cook's got to be the guy. And then I think Fournette has just more upside than Elliott.
I'm going to start Dalvin. Dalvin has a lot of offers right now. And like you were saying, Wyatt, he just has the most potential out of all of them, the greatest skill set. In fantasy, sometimes you can't worry about injuries too much. And so you're kind of banking on the potential you have with Cook. I'm going to sit Zeke. I think Zeke is going to get signed before Fournette. I think Fournette's going to wait until there's an injury in training camp or during the season to sign. I think Zeke has a chance to be on a team where he gets 45, maybe close to 50%, depending on what team he goes to. I think he'll be fine. Maybe he might have like 700 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's not going to be anybody great, but I worry about Leonard. He's kind of been falling off. And the Buccaneers, obviously, they were moving on to Rachaad White last time we saw him. I feel like Leonard's never been respected like he should. He came into the league with Jacksonville, and he was like really good, but once he started getting injured, everybody was off of him. And I just think that's going to continue and carry with him.
Yep, I am the same ranking as you, Ben, as well. Dalvin is the starter for me. I could see him almost kind of in the same like Todd Gurley conversation. That's kind of disrespectful to Todd Gurley because he was a lot better, I think, in his prime. But where he just 1 year was really good, and then the next year just nothing. His health just can't keep up. So, but I like you said, Ben, you can't really think about injuries when you're going into at least these 3 guys here. They're all kind of a little bit injury prone.
Yeah.
But I think Dalvin has the best upside, the most offers. I think he ends up on the probably in the best situation. I'll take Zeke on my bench just because same reason. I think he gets signed first, and I think his name carries a lot of weight. You could probably use him as a trade chip and get someone who doesn't know quite as much maybe about the NFL, doesn't follow it quite as much. You could probably sell him off for someone better. And then Fournette, yeah, I kind of see him as like a ring chaser at this point in his career. I don't know if he'll sign before the season, might sign late. Like you said, Ben, again, with an injury or, just a team that needs some help that's competing. Maybe they're 6-2 already or something. They need an extra guy. So, yeah, I don't love any of the three, honestly. Maybe Dalvin. If Dalvin goes to Miami, I like Dalvin quite a bit, I think. But, yeah, Dalvin start, Zeke bench, cut playoff Lenny.
All right. I have three very interesting quarterbacks, all very similar ranked. If you do check out our fantasy guide, we have these guys pretty much back to back to back. They're not top tier at any means. They'll definitely probably start on most teams, though. So they're probably right at around that 7 to 10. We have our boy, look behind Ethan. We have Matt Stafford, RIP. We have Jared Goff. And we have Russell Wilson. You got to pick for those three. Very similar quarterbacks.
Gross.
Love it.
I'm going to start Russell Wilson. Wilson. I know. I know. He's getting Sean Payton. He's got Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Dolchich. Sorry, they just got Samaje. I think he's in the best situation of the three, probably. I'm going to put Stafford on my bench just because he's got Kupp and Akers. I know, and Higbee. I worry about Goff fantasy-wise. Like, on the road, I just feel like I'm not very high on Goff. He might be a good real-life quarterback, but in fantasy, he just doesn't do it for me, so I have to cut Goff.
Yeah, this one I think is pretty easy for me. I like Russell Wilson as my starter. I think he has a huge bounce-back year. He won't win MVP, but I think he does get into the conversation. I think they will be a good team. I really do. I'm not ready to write
clip
off
that.
That's
Chat, clip that, please.
One bad year under a very incompetent coach. I won't hold it against him. So I still like Russ. Think he does well. Think his team. I think he has a lot of great pieces. And love Sean Payton. So yeah, I'll take Russ pretty easily there. Goff on my bench. And I see Stafford putting up like 13 points a game. He does have Cooper Kupp, but I just think he's on the tail end of his career. Obviously, he's been there now for this is 15th year, I want to say. Just old, beat up, really his entire career. He's toughed it out. Couldn't tough it out last year. I just don't see Stafford doing much, being very fantasy relevant for really ever again. So unfortunately, cut him. But my mom will still draft him in the second round.
So, first of all, we have to come back to that clip because I was I don't really drink a whole lot anymore. I drank way too much last Friday, brutally hungover, like on the bathroom floor, like curled up in a ball all Saturday. I couldn't puke, but now you just saying Russell Wilson, possible MVP contender. I'm going to get that little clip on my phone, just play it on repeat, and I'll barf everything in my guts out watching that. That's disgusting. You know what? Just because of that, I'm cutting Wilson. Get him out of my life. I don't want him. First of all, I've never been a real big Russell Wilson fan. I know that's probably a controversial statement. Everyone seems to like Russell Wilson. I think he's a fraud. My friends, this is kind of distant, but my one friend's college roommate went to NC State. Russell Wilson was like a sophomore, whatever, in college. Just the sleaziest guy you've ever seen in your life. Like, just making out multiple different chicks. Obviously, it's college. I'm not going to hold it against him. But I don't think he is as good of a guy as everyone thinks he is. He's no Tim Tebow, okay? Anyways, I root for
that, honestly.
I root for Russell Wilson's demise. That's all I do in life. That's all I'm going to do this season. I just don't like him. So I'm going to cut him. Get him off my – talk about Stafford having 12 points. How many touchdowns did Russell Wilson throw last year? 4. So he's going to throw 3 this year. So I'm going to cut him. I'm going to start Goff. I think Goff, obviously he's nothing special, not super talented, not very fast, doesn't have the best weapons in the league. But I just think I think his team builds around him. I think they feed off his energy. I think he's in a really good fit in Detroit. He's a fan favorite. I just like his potential, and I know I kind of fade Detroit, but I'll start Goff, and then I'll sit Stafford in hopes him and Kupp just have an unreal season. Very unlikely, but got to sit him in case it happens.
Nice.
Big tangent there. Sorry about that, fellas.
I loved it, man. I love that.
Hey, I'm just pumped to know that Russell Wilson wasn't as square in college as I maybe thought he was.
That's true. Yeah, I guess that gives him some extra points.
I mean, him and Frat Stafford could have maybe been buddies.
That's true.
All right. I want to know your guys' thoughts between these 3 second-year wide receivers. We have Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Christian Watson. Start, sit, cut.
I have the same 3.
You?
Yeah. It's the sophomore slump crew.
I love it. I'm starting Olave, hands down, no question about it. Love Olave this year. Think he's going to be – yeah, I love Olave. I'll just leave it at that. I'm actually – oh, man, that's tough. I like Christian Watson better, but the situation – all right, I'm gonna go a little emotional, a little personal. Take one out of Wyatt's page here. I'm gonna bench Christian Watson. I'm cutting Garrett Wilson. I'm just gonna go kind of off here. I just saw their first 6 games on the schedule this year. Have you guys seen who they play? Like first 6 weeks before their bye?
The Jets or
Brutal.
the Packers?
The Jets. Sorry. It's like the Bills, Chiefs, Cowboys, Eagles, and someone else pretty decent. Or no, there's 6 games in there, so I don't know. But Miami and New England, I think. So like very easily could go 1-5 into the week 6 bye. So that makes me want to fade them on future bets. But yeah, also I think Garrett Wilson has a lot of hype to live up to, obviously winning Rookie of the Year. Obviously with Rodgers coming in, everyone thinks he's going to do it, and it just kind of, to me, is a little bit of a red flag. Yeah, I don't know. Jordan Love has to find chemistry with someone. I'll hope it's Christian Watson for this sake. But yeah, Olave for sure start.
Yeah. I don't know. I was tossing this one around. I'm gonna start Garrett Wilson. I know I have him as a very big bust potential. Definitely a huge red flag. A lot to live up to. Rodgers also just brought in his 2 boys, and Lazard and Cobb. Obviously, Cobb's 85 years old, so he's probably not going to do a whole lot. But I think Wilson's the most talented. He definitely has the best quarterback out of the 3 by far. Out of Green Bay, Rodgers is better than Derek Carr, so he's the best quarterback. They throw the ball last year with 5 quarterbacks. They threw the ball. I think they were 3rd in the league or 4th in the league in pass attempts per game. So he's definitely going to get a lot of production. I'm just going to take the risk on Wilson. I think it's worth it. Obviously, huge sophomore slump potential, so that does worry me. I'm going to bench Olave. Just think he's extremely talented. He's probably going to be wide receiver 1 if Michael Thomas does what Michael Thomas has done the last 3 years in the Saints. He also has Derek Carr, which is an upgrade at quarterback from last year. I think he could easily have a record-setting year for himself. Olave can. So I think he has a lot of potential as well. I think if you have both Olave and Wilson on your team, you're doing fairly well in fantasy, which is very much the case if you're doing a snake draft and you're 12th person, you could snag boom, boom. And then I'm going to cut Watson. Just not the potential or not the, I just don't think there's a whole lot of high side with Watson. He had 4 solid games, 7 touchdowns in 4 games. Everything else than that, he didn't really do a whole lot. downgraded significantly at quarterback. Dubs or Dubes, whatever his name is already kicking it off with Jordan Love. And now we have Jaden Reed, who I think is the most athletic out of those 3 wide receivers, who could very easily get into that wide receiver 1 spot in Green Bay. So I think too much risk with Watson, with Jordan Love, who I don't even know can throw a football. I don't think we've seen it yet. So too much risk there. I got to cut him. But yeah, I'm going to take the risk and I'm going to start Wilson. Hopefully he does not have what everyone's calling a sophomore slump.
Love sure can't take a snap and take a knee, though.
That's true.
I could tell you had these 3 too, because you took every single talking point I had in the exact same order too. Starting Garrett Wilson, benching Olave, and cutting Watson. I mean, Watson, his potential is like sky high, but he's got a worse quarterback, and we saw him at his peak for 4 games out of the 17 last year. So if you took him at any point before those last 4 games, if you traded him mid-season and you didn't know how he finished, you'd be saying, how is he even in the same conversation as these guys?
Right.
Yeah. That's true. I'm going to stick with receiver. I'm excited to hear you guys' answers for this one because I don't know what I'm going to do here. So kind of middle of the pack, guys. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins.
Okay, I'm gonna cut T. Higgins. I am gonna shoot. I'm gonna start. It's gonna get risky. I'm gonna start Amon-Ra and I'm gonna bench Jalen. And I hate it, but I gotta start the wide receiver 1 on his own team. I know Waddle even had better numbers than Amon-Ra did as a wide receiver 2 on his team. But again, just the risks with Tua. Obviously, I guess they didn't really matter last year. They still got a crap load of yards. But I'm just going to take Amon-Ra. I think Amon-Ra is really going to have a breakout year. The Detroit wide receiver room is so thin. It's so bad. So Amon-Ra is the only dude on the edges at all that can do anything. So obviously that comes with the risk of him getting double teamed a lot. But I love his production. I think he's going to get 150 targets. Like, he's going to be the guy. So I'll take the risk on him. Waddle, as we all know, is a freak. I think he had 1,300 yards last year as a wide receiver 2 on his own team, 8 touchdowns, something ridiculous like that. Could very well do it again, but also those numbers as the second best player on your team is very hard to do back. So also great to have on your team, though. And then, I got to cut. Who's the last dude?
T. Higgins.
Oh, T. Higgins. Yeah, I mean, T obviously is a very solid wide receiver 2 on his own team. Very sure-handed. Doesn't get all the attention because of Jamar Chase, but I think Waddle already gets more production than T does as the second guy on his team. So I think T's just he's not as athletic, not as fast, not as big of a deep threat. So I'll take the other 2. I love T, though. I think T is a great pick. I think he's going to fall down on a lot of people's draft boards. I think T is going to be a fantastic snag, but unfortunately, out of this 3, he gets cut.
Yeah, great question, Ethan. I'm going to go Amon-Ra also as my starter. I just think that there's no other player on the Lions who's going to have the receptions he's going to have, the targets he's going to have. I think he's the clear-cut number 1. Doesn't matter, tight end, running back, doesn't matter. Wide receiver, they got, I think you guys got Marvin Jones again, didn't you?
Yeah. 85-year-old Marvin Jones.
Exactly. At my point, exactly. Yeah, there's nobody else that's going to be challenging Amon-Ra. Love Waddle, but you're going to have to bench Waddle here. I think Waddle has a better chance at being good of the number 2s like T, because as good as Jamar Chase is, I don't think people give the same protection and respect as they do to Tyreek Hill. He's just such a deep threat that the safeties always cheat to that side. He always has their fastest, best corner on him, which is always going to allow Jalen Waddle to work against the number 2 guys. And then you're going to just have to cut T.
Yeah, I'm going to line up with you guys here. I'll take St. Brown to start. I think if St. Brown was going to have a down year, it was going to be last year. I was actually very hesitant on taking him in my drafts. I didn't take him in any of my leagues just because he did finish his rookie year so strong. I thought he was primed for a sophomore slump. But I mean, he's a real legit wide receiver one in this league. Just saw on Twitter over the weekend that he was number one rated against man coverage by Pro Football Focus, which I don't know how much stock I put into that. I know it's pretty official grading there, but really like that for him because he is going to be manned up quite a bit. So obviously does well against man coverage. Yeah, I think you guys said the rest. He's the main guy. He's going to get open. He's going to get touchdowns. So I like him a lot. I also think he gets more involved rushing the ball this year. They kind of had him do it a little bit last year, but like St. Brown, I'm going to go Waddle for my bench as well. I feel like Waddle and Higgins are kind of similar in their production. Waddle could have a couple catches and Tyreek Hill has 3 touchdowns one game. Same thing with Jamar Chase and Higgins, but I think Waddle has more upside, and honestly, he's just way more fun to watch. Nothing like seeing a Tua deep ball 50 yards in the air and just wondering if it's going to be Tyreek or Jalen Waddle running under it. So yeah, I like the upside on Waddle there. And then kind of same thing you were saying, why I'd love T. Higgins. Think he's a great pick for really anybody. Think he could fall a little bit. But out of these 3, he'll be my cut.
I like it. I have running back, top tier running backs. Well, 1.A or 1.B tier running backs. We got Bijan, rookie Bijan. We have Saquon. And we have Jonathan Taylor.
Okay. We're going to start Taylor. I know he had a down year last year. He's still got, I think the offensive line's going to bounce back. The Colts, their identity is running the ball. They're going to keep running the ball. And either quarterback that they start, Richardson or Minshew, I think you can't rely and lean on either one of them. So I think they're going to have to use Taylor as much as possible this year. Oh, and that's tough. Bijan and Saquon. Man.
Bijan, Saquon, and John. Who you picking?
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm going to bench Saquon, I think. I worry about his injuries. That's the main thing. And I think the Giants played to their ceiling last year. So I don't know how much they can reproduce that. Bijan, I'm going to cut Bijan because he's going to be great. And I know the Falcons run a lot. But Algier had 1,000 yards last year. And then Cordero Patterson, they want to use him in a pass catching role. So how can you have this many receivers this many running backs and still be able to perform at these top tier dudes? It just seems like he's going way too high for where he's actually going to be able to finish.
Yeah, I'm going to do, yeah, you just got me thinking there, Ben. Kind of the way I think the Saints underused Taysom Hill. The Falcons, I think, underused Cordero Patterson. That one year they really gave him the reins. He kind of dominated.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of weird to see him drop off so much last year. But I'm gonna go start Jonathan Taylor as well. Think he bounces back. Yeah, I think the Colts are gonna need to establish the run. Typical sophomore slump for him, but I think he has another productive year this year if he stays healthy. I'm gonna bench Bijan, just from an upside standpoint, I think. And I'll cut Saquon. I'm kind of over Saquon at this point in his career, even though I think he did really well last year, if I'm not wrong. But I don't know, just too injury prone. Just seems like the guy that had 5 years of hype and is just slowly going to fizzle out now. Again, going kind of back to Todd Gurley, maybe Melvin Gordon. I think he just starts going downhill at this point. So I like the upside more on the young guy.
Well, when I first came up with this question, I had an answer, and then now I don't as much. Honestly, great points by everyone here. Yeah, Saquon did have a great year, almost 1,700 yards.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor to start. I think that's the obvious. again, I think the Colts, Ben, you said it, rushing the ball is their identity. If they do have Richardson starting, who probably won't, but I do think he's going to finish the year probably starting, they're probably going to do a lot of option plays, which really frees up the inside run. So I think Jonathan could get back on track. Again, not a great season. He was struggling with injuries. He had the ankle problem. Obviously, that could come back and hurt him. But I think he's just the best option to start. And then for number 2, I really wanted to cut Bijan. And then I really want to cut Saquon. So many options, like you also Ben, like you said, so many options in Atlanta that I know it just didn't make sense why they drafted him. I guess I still can't believe
100%.
why they drafted him. So it's worrisome, but it also means that they have a plan, and I also think they could run him till he's dead. So I'll go Bijan just at the potential. I'll put him on my bench. I don't love it at all. It's just a weird move. I still just can't get over it. But I'll put Bijan and Saquon. It was one of my favorite players. Just a freak athlete, but he's in one of the toughest defensive leagues in the NFL with the Eagles and the Cowboys. Great run stopping defenses. I think he's just too injury prone, too easy to get shut down. And if you shut down the run in New York, you beat New York. That's all they have. So unfortunately, even though I love him, I will cut Saquon.
That Barkley Bijan dilemma just broke my brain, dude.
Yeah.
I might not be the same the rest of this episode.
Washington also not a terrible run defense over there.
True. If they get Chase back as well, yeah.
Yeah.
And if Bijan shows he can run to his death, might be a Brisbane Bobby next year.
That's true.
That's
true. He could be a quick entry to the Canton Goats.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick trade.
Before he goes to the Savannah Spirits.
Yeah.
Yes. God, he could go 3 teams 1 year.
Everybody that didn't watch that live said, "What the hell are these guys talking about?"
That is your ticket to go watch that.
Yeah. Maybe we'll link it to this video. We'll link that.
There you go. At least check out the shorts.
Yes.
When they come out.
Yes.
Brisbane is out.
And the Spirits is out.
And the Spirits, yeah.
I have quarterbacks that are question marks. So I want to know start, sit, cut. Deshaun Watson, Geno Smith, and Tua.
Ugh.
Start Tua. Definitely. Bench Deshaun for upside, maybe. Yeah. And then cut Geno. I just think Geno had one magical year, and I think he gets figured out this year. I don't think he's going to be that good again. I know that's different from your opinion, Ben. I think Wyatt agrees with me. Left Geno off his list of quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tua, pretty easy start there. The other two, tough to say, but I'll take Deshaun just for his upside.
Yeah. I'm going to go a little different just for the sake of argument. I'm going to start Massage Boy Watson. I'm going to bench Fingers, and I'm going to cut the fraud of Seattle. So I'm very high on Tua. I'm super high on Tua. Again, the problem is the concussion. And as soon as you get one, your second one's even that much easier. I think he had 2 or 3 last year. Definitely had 2. He probably had another one in there. Your fingers don't go like that after 1. So I'm just worried with the concussion. So for the sake of this drill, I'm going to keep him on my bench. Hopefully he stays healthy. But I think Watson is just a super safe pick. I don't think he's in the move of getting hurt. He's probably going to run the ball a little less than he has in years past. He's a pretty solid passer. He's getting another wide receiver threat in Elijah Moore. He has Mari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Probably one of the best running backs in the league with Nick Chubb. I think I'm pretty high on the Browns this year, so I think he's going to have a solid year, and I think he's really going to get back to being the reason he's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. So I'm going to start him. Keep Tua just in case he stays healthy, and then Gino's going to throw the ball 60 times a game. It's just I don't know how accurate those are going to be and how many interceptions he's going to have. So I think Gino definitely the lower one on that list.
Quick side note, if Deshaun is watching this right now, he might have piqued his attention by calling Tua fingers.
It's true. Massage boy loves his fingers.
Perfect segue. I'm cutting Watson because I think he's as safe as a masseuse and massage parlor one-on-one. I think only bad things can happen. They're going to lean on Chubb. We're chasing that Texans upside that we haven't seen in like 2 years.
He wished the masseuses would have leaned on Chubb too.
Good God. It is unfortunate he's on the team that has a Chubb.
It is. It is.
Watson has a Chubb. I mean, Watson the Chubb.
Yeah, so I'm cutting Watson. I'm just gonna get away from this segment as quick as I can. I'm gonna bench Gino. They wrote him off. He didn't write back. Now he gets JSN. I just think there's so many weapons there, and then they invested more into their offense, getting Charbonnet or however you say his name. I think he's just got so many weapons there. I think they're one of the best receiving groups probably in the league. So I'm going to take Gino just for the upside of that. And then starting Tua. I just think he's got the best receivers, best situation. He's got a good coach, even though like he hits that vape pen on the sidelines instead of paying attention to the game. I think that Tua is probably the best one out of those three.
For anyone who hasn't been following along with these Friday football videos, safe to say the three of us love Tua if he's on the field this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big if, but we like him. Okay, so my final grouping here is my tight ends. This is probably my favorite group, but they're all rookies, so really tough to say. I'm going Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, Michael Mayer.
Is this redraft?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So just I guess for their rookie year.
Laporta, Kincaid, and Mayer.
Yep.
I'm gonna cut Mayer just because he really fell in the draft for what team is he on?
Raiders.
I can't even remember.
Raiders. Okay, well, that's going to be a reliable source, but or a reliable option. But I'm going to cut him. I'm going to bench Kincaid. Shoot. Yeah, I'm going to bench Kincaid. He's at Buffalo, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just that was a weird draft pick as well because they already have Dawson Knox. He's a decently solid tight end, but he has great upside and he really could just take over the Buffalo offense. So they definitely have a plan for Kincaid, which definitely has my interest. But it's tough being the second tight end on your own team, let alone a fantasy team. So I'm going to sub him, put him on the bench, and then I'm going to start Laporta. I just think Laporta is going to have a fantastic year in Detroit. Detroit loves their tight ends. Again, Dan Campbell was a tight end at Detroit. They went up to get him. They could have drafted Mayer. They could have drafted a couple other tight ends. So I love Laporta and what he's going to do in Detroit. So I'm going to start him with the risk that he's playing for Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to take Laporta too. I'm going to start Laporta. I think that, like you just said, Wyatt, they took him over Mayer, took him over these other options, took him early in the second round. So I think that they've got plans for Laporta. All the camps or the reports coming out of camp are positive about Laporta. I'm going to roll with him. I'm actually going to bench Mayer. The only person in front of him is Hooper, Austin Hooper. I think there's like 7 people out there that might remember Austin Hooper. I think he can pass him pretty easily. Don't love Jimmy G, but we saw what he was able to do with Kittle. So if Mayer's able to get in there and get the starting job, I think he might have some value. Kincaid, he's a beast, but they just signed Dawson Knox to a 4-year, like somewhere around $80 million extension. I worry about how often he's going to see the field. He's also got to compete with Diggs, and I just worry, like, how many targets is Kincaid going to see this year? 60, maybe? And then at that point, if he has 40 receptions, how much value is he going to have to you?
Right.
Yes. This is tough. Love Laporta and Kincaid. I'm going to cut Mayer. He might have a fine year. I don't think he'll have any problem jumping Hooper there. Hooper had one good year in his NFL career, got paid for it, and has sucked ever since.
Yep.
For the sake of being different, I'm going to start Dalton Kincaid. I think Buffalo didn't have many pieces necessarily that they're missing on their team. Obviously, they've been really good for years. Think they're going to find a great way to use Kincaid and Knox, maybe in like a Hernandez Gronk situation. I think Kincaid's going to be more of the receiving tight end. I think they could line him up in sort of a stack formation and just kind of have Knox set picks for him, get him open for nice goal line touchdowns. I do think Kincaid's going to have a pretty nice year for them. I think Laporta is going to do just fine in Detroit too, but yeah, those guys are 1A, 1B for me. But yeah, just for the sake of this, I'll go Kincaid start, Laporta bench, Mayer cut.
All right, I got another running back one. I really don't like a whole lot of any of these guys. Risky running backs for sure. Alvin Kamara, James Conner, and Javonte Williams.
Okay. I thought this was going to be – I feel pretty strong about this one. So I'm going to start James Conner. I think he's going to get as much work as they're going to possibly give him. I don't think there's going to be a lot good happening in Arizona, but I think Conner is going to get as many carries as he can take. He's going to be catching the ball because there's not a lot of great receiving weapons out in Arizona. His offensive line's probably not going to do him any favors, but I just think out of those three, he's going to get the most work. I'm going to take Alvin Kamara at 2. I definitely think that Jamal Williams is going to steal some touchdowns from him. I think that is probably going to affect Kamara more than people are thinking. We also have to worry about the suspension with Kamara, and he had a down year last year, so he's just another year older. I think he'll be fine, but I don't think he's in the same level as James Conner. And then I'm a hard cut on Javonte Williams. If any redraft, I'm staying completely away from Javonte Williams. He had that ACL, LCL, and PCL tear. If you tear your ACL and PCL there on both sides of your knee, that means you don't have any stability going front or back. The only thing that's holding on is one of the lateral. He tore the lateral, I think. So his medial collateral ligament is the only thing holding his knee still in place at the time. So with that much instability, we saw how the ACL affected J.K. Dobbins last year. With this injury, I mean, it really could be like a career killer for Javonte Williams. So I am so far out on him this year, it's not even funny.
Yeah, mine's a little different, but I do also feel very passionate about where I have these guys. I love Alvin Kamara. He's the only one that I'd probably draft out of this group, honestly. I think Jamal Williams is going to help him. Alvin, he was younger, obviously, when Mark Ingram was a little bit better for them, but had some really good years when Ingram was, they're kind of a 1-2 punch. So I think Jamal can kind of take some pressure off of him, take some hits off of him. So I think Alvin has a pretty good year, especially for his draft position. So I like Alvin a lot. I'll start him. I'm actually going to bench Javonte just because I like the situation better, and the knee definitely scares me. I'm the same way. I won't be drafting him in any league, but I also won't be drafting James Conner. The thing that I hate about James Conner is I just think the Cardinals could be down, 14, 17, 0 in the first quarter of a lot of games, and the run game just goes out the window. He's not a huge receiving back. I just think, they're going to kind of go balls to the walls, and I just don't see him being a huge piece of the offense later in games. So it's always really tough for me to draft running backs on really bad teams. So for that reason, I'll cut him.
Yeah, I'm going to be the same with Ethan here. I'm going to start Kamara. I think Kamara has just a lot of potential. As we all know, coming out of the backfield, he was, a top 3 player in fantasy the last, however many years. Definitely is getting older, which is worrisome, but he still has a couple more years in him. So I like his production that he'll probably have. I'm going to have Javonte on my bench. Again, the knee is extremely worrisome, but he's a great coach on should be a decently good offensive team. Obviously, the knee is it's a big question mark, but he could very well be primary back if he stays healthy on Denver. So a lot of potential there. And then James Conner, Ethan said it. I think I don't even really trust James Conner's drive, anyways. I know he was kind of that brawler on Pittsburgh, but kind of seemed like he lost his flair when he went to Arizona. And that's just what happens when your team sucks, your fans hate you, and you can't do anything offensively. So I think he's going to want out really quick. I think we might see him. I don't know how trade works during season, but I think he could be gone. I think it's a terrible fit this year for a team, like Ethan said, it's going to be down multiple touchdowns by halftime. So, yeah, I hate taking a guy with a completely destroyed knee, but I think Connor is going to be traded or quit or something.
Interesting. I got a ugly one to finish us out here. So these are going to be after those tight ends that we had previously mentioned. Between these 3, I'd say big question marks also. They have underperformed in their careers. I'm talking about Njoku, Ingram, and Pitts.
Okay. I'm going to, without question, cut Njoku. Just haven't seen enough from him throughout his career. He was a big name coming out of college. Hyper athletic, should be really good. Just not impressed by him in his NFL career, so I will cut him. I think I'm going to, I don't know. I'm not high on Ingram, but I'm high on Jacksonville, which is my issue here. But I think I will start Pitts. I think he has a bounce back year. Is he a second year guy or third? He's third now, right?
Third, yep.
Yeah. So sophomore slump last year. I still think his potential is the best of these 3 guys. Yeah. I might take a shot on Pitts in my actual draft this year. I like Pitts. I think I think the Falcons are going to be better. I think he'll be better. So I like him. And then I think Ingram's going to be fine too. I just like Jacksonville a lot this year, but I don't know. That one good year out of, I don't know how long he's been in the league, 7 or 8, just not enough for me to really buy back into him for a second consecutive year. Again, I think he'll be fine. I might have to fall into drafting him in a league or 2, but yeah, I'll take Pitts to start, Ingram bench, and Njoku cut.
I think I know how Ben's going to answer this, so I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to start Ingram. I'm going to bench Njoku. I'm going to cut Pitts. Ingram, huge passing attack for Jacksonville. They're going to throw the ball all over the field. Obviously, that means there's a lot of targets, especially in the red zone. But Ingram still had 4 touchdowns last year, had the most yards out of the 3 tight ends in question. I think he could get close to 800 yards this year. I just think he could be really utilized by Jacksonville. Again, they have so many threats all over the field that people might forget a big tight end down the middle. So I like him to start. And Njoku, I'm gonna put Njoku on my bench because of Pitts. I want to cut him. Pitts, I'm just worried that, again, in the end zone or in the red zone, they're really going to be running that ball. We have Ritter, who's an option quarterback. We have Algier, and then we have Bijan. So it's going to be a running attack. Obviously, that could open up a quick little pass or bootleg or something like that. But, I mean, he had a terrible sophomore year, and he should get better, but there's a lot of shoulds, and they got a lot more ground attack. I think they're going to be much more run-oriented, even more than they were last year this year. So I really don't think his production is going to be there. It's probably going to be better than last year. You can't really not be better than that. But I just think he's going to struggle. And because of that, there's only one guy left. I'll put Njoku on my bench. I don't have a whole lot of reasoning. He had a solid year last year, nothing special. Wasn't terrible. I think he had like 600 yards, 4 touchdowns. But, yeah, he's just last one. So that's my reason for it.
I don't know if this is the way you thought I was going to go, Wyatt, but I'm going the exact same as yours.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to start Njoku.
Yeah, well, I can't pass up. Ingram's got Lawrence, and he had a lot more attention on him last year because Kirk was the main dude, and then you had like Zay Jones, which Zay's fine, but now with Kirk as the number 2 and you got Ridley in town, I think that just opens up Ingram to be on linebackers more than cornerbacks, and I think he could do that physical mismatch much better this season. Njoku I'm putting at 2. I'm putting him on the bench, mainly because he's kind of stank during his career, but he's also been on the Browns, and a lot of players stink on the Browns if your name's not Chubb. So they got Deshaun Watson in town. I think that this is definitely the best quarterback he's played with. He had a mini breakout last year. We'll see if he can carry it into this year. And with that, I have to cut Pitts. The problem with Pitts last year, even before his injury, was he just wasn't any good. There's no other way about it. He just wasn't good. They drafted him highly to use him, and he's just not getting open. And he's not contributing much in the red zone. Like you said, Wyatt, they're going to be pounding that ball in. They got all these running backs that can do it. Bijan, now you don't get a big back like that and not have him pounded in. Yeah, I think you had it perfect.
A lot of play action, wide open little flip to him. I can see it.
Then he drops it.
I might drop it.
Hey, we'll see, right? All right, you guys
We'll
got anything
see.
else for this episode?
Couple more weeks, boys. We're almost there. Hold on. It's going to come fast or slow. I don't know. It's going slow for us, but it might come fast for you. So get excited.
Things are about to get rocky for about 8 weeks.
Yeah. Make sure you guys get our draft guide that's out now. Go get it at bettergreen.com. Make sure you're following us on all socials. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Give us a like. Give us a comment. What do you think about this video? And Ethan, I want them to have to comment on a question. What should the question be today?
Well, I don't know that I necessarily have a question, but I just want to know who's purchasing our draft guides and what do you think about them? So if you purchase, let us know in the comments. Let us know you purchased and let us know what when you've looked through it, what your favorite part of the guide is. I think that'll be helpful for us to know for the future as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Excellent.
I love that idea. We want that feedback from you guys. That's going to do it from us here at Better and Green, and we'll see you guys on Monday's Green Live. Peace, guys.
There, guys.
See you guys.
You better start listening to the Better and Green podcast. You will not regret it. Trust me, trust me, trust me. And hey, I'm Dean Blandino.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top, hey. Shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome, welcome to our podcast, Better and Green.